I was tired of having zero control over junk food. I threw treats that I promised I wouldn't eat anymore into the trash. And what I would do, because my urges were so strong, I picked them out of the trash again to keep eating. That's how bad it was. I also ate 4 Snickers ice cream after my wisdom teeth removal, and I got an infection because of it. I realized that what I am struggling with is a deeply ingrained overeating habit, and I needed to break this habit at its roots because my urges were happening so often in a such automatic way, and they were really, really powerful. And I realized that I needed to break this habit again instead of trying to fix my uncontrolled eating with another diet. Because at first I thought I just needed to be more strict and needed more discipline, but that wasn't the case. So my goal was to stop obsessing over food, stop excessively overeating food, and finally lose weight without the constant cycle of overeating, undereating, overeating, and undereating. So here's my advice for you if you are struggling with the same. You need to stop restrictive dieting. Even though diets are promoted everywhere, it's the reason your strong urges or cravings exist. Because restrictive dieting, it convinces your brain that there is a real food shortage. That brings me to number 2 is build balanced, wholesome, filling meals. So all of the food groups, not cutting out fats, not cutting out carbs, like combine high protein, fats, carbs, fiber to feel satisfied, to be full for hours, and also reduce cravings. And number 3 is practice waiting out your urges to excessively overeat. You have to see that your urges are temporary. And each time you resist them, you weaken the created habit. And just to give you an understanding of how this habit developed is when you started to undereat, your brain produced those urges because it was under the impression of a food shortage. Then you acted on those urges because they were too compelling. Then you restricted again. Then you acted on those urges again. You restricted again. Your brain remembered that. Because the more you repeat something, the more neural pathways in your brain become strengthened. That increases automation of the behavior. So in short, your brain has learned to keep producing those urges. It had turned into a habit. So whether you stop dieting now and you eat intuitively or whatever, your brain will keep generating those urges. So you need to break this habit again, and I teach you how in my Healthy Habits membership. The next advice I have for you, you need to challenge your fear of your trigger foods. I get that they might seem better to avoid, but what I did in my healing journey and weight loss journey, I started eating them in small amounts again, challenged my urges, learned to face those urges, learned to ride out or surf those urges until they faded. And that's how I retrained my brain. And that's how I was able to eat those foods again without going crazy. Next one, focus on consistency. Progress isn't linear. Progress is also not about being perfect. It's not a straight linear graph, for example. It's about showing up every day, trying your best, and staying committed even if you fall off track, so to speak. Break the all or nothing thinking or mindset. There are shades of gray. It's not black and white. You can allow for flexibility with your habits. And what I mean by that is, for example, you have a 10K eating step, 10K daily step goal. And it is better to do 7K that day than just saying, whatever, I'm just not going to do it. So This is all about like consistency again, but not about being perfect. The next advice I have for you is to celebrate small wins, even if they seem insignificant, whether it's resisting a craving, whether it's preparing a balanced meal, whether it is hitting your daily step goal. Celebrate that. I also did in my healing and weight loss journey, and it really helped. You can also join my free community to do that. I will certainly celebrate you. Next advice I have for you is reframe your urges. That means is understand that, as I mentioned in the beginning, that it is just your brain having ingrained a habit, so to speak. So it's just your brain repeating a learned habit, and it's not a personal failure. If you have an urge, it doesn't mean you lack willpower or discipline. It's just a habit that you innocently and unknowingly created because no one taught you this. Lastly, give yourself time. Breaking the overeating and undereating cycle, it isn't instant. Like it took me, for example, 3 months without a coach. I had clients who broke out of it after 3 weeks, even though they struggled since they were teenagers, so almost their whole life. And stopping or breaking out of the overeating habit within 3 weeks is pretty amazing. So don't expect results overnight, is what I'm trying to say. It's a work in progress where you have to put in work daily. You have to want to change. You have to put in the work to change and the effort. And yeah, once you did that, you can keep your body forever. And for me, taking you back to my personal journey, like I started by eating balanced, wholesome meals, meaning like all of the food groups, unprocessed. And I also taught myself how to write out my urges, how to resist my urges, to break this habit. And this was, of course, it was challenging at the beginning because I had to go through it all by myself. But over time, my brain rewired, and the urges became weaker, less frequent until they stopped coming up altogether. And then in just 3 months, I stopped uncontrollably overeating, and in 18 months, I lost 55 pounds while also enjoying the foods I love or like treats along the way. And this method I used, it works because it focuses on specific actionable habits and not restriction or willpower. And I will teach you everything in my Healthy Habits membership. And if you're interested in joining, I have everything in the description box down below. You can read about what it's included, how much it is, and you can also join my free community from there, where you also get weekly trainings on exactly those topics I talked about. Anyway, I would love to see you in either of those spaces, and yeah, I will see you in the next video. Bye.